Hello beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a cook dinner with me. Now I know you guys have probably heard of get ready with me's. I've done a few of them on my channel. We just do our makeup, we get ready together, and we do a little bit of chatting. So today I thought I would do a cook dinner with me because I wanted to do a cooking video, but I'm having people over and I don't want to do a fancy recipe for you guys. I figured we could just make dinner, we could chat, and we'll just make dinner together. I apologize in advance if the audio in this video is a little bit off. I am in a new space. When I record in my kitchen, it's always a little bit hard to get the sound exactly right because it's very echoey. And so I'm hoping it sounds okay, but it may not sound perfect. And so I apologize if that's the case. But as you can see, we are in my kitchen. This is where all of the magic happens. No, we cook a lot of dinners in here, and we're having some guests over tonight, so I'm actually making a good meal for them. I'm starting off with Brussels sprouts. My plan is to roast them. This is just one of my favorite recipes, just for vegetables generally, and so I'm going to be roasting them in the oven. So I just came up with a little trick right now. I am going to have a lot of ends for the Brussels sprouts, and so I figured I might as well just grab a little bowl and put all them in there, and then I can just toss them out. So the way that I do Brussels sprouts is I'll generally actually third them. So I like to have like a slice in the middle because my husband really likes them crispy. Sometimes they'll look a little bit burned, but actually I don't find that Brussels sprouts taste burned. They might just look burned, and they are crunchy and delicious. So I like to slice them into thirds, and then they get really crispy. I just saw a bunny in our backyard. I just got so excited. Our sink overlooks a window into our backyard, and we get so many bunnies. It's like the best thing ever. Seriously, I love it so much. Makes me feel like Snow White or something. So sorry, I got distracted. My plan is to put these in the oven. I kind of sprinkle them with some olive oil and garlic powder and onion powder, and I just let those roast at like 425 for 20 minutes around, and they cook super well and they're super delicious, and it's just really easy. So like I said, the only fancy thing I do is instead of just slicing them in half, I slice them in thirds so that they get really crunchy, and then I really just lie them flat on the pan. What are your guys' recipes for vegetables? Because I'll be honest with you, my husband really doesn't like a lot of vegetable dishes, so I'm always looking for new ones that he'll like and enjoy, but it's a little bit hard because, you know, for me, I like to just have a salad, and he will not do that. So instead I have to cook everything, and so I'm always looking for interesting vegetable recipes. So if you guys have recommendations, leave them in the comments below. Now here's another question. Do you guys like Brussels sprouts? Because that is like a thing that people are really polarized on. Some people love Brussels sprouts, will eat them no matter what, and some people really hate them. And I know as a kid, there was always like a running joke about Brussels sprouts, that Brussels sprouts were like gross. My parents really didn't make them. My mom didn't cook them, so I never had them until I got older. And then when I did, I had them roasted, and usually they have a balsamic glaze, which is also delicious, and sometimes I'll do like a balsamic reduction, but we're just gonna keep it simple for tonight. The bunny is still out there. Sorry, I keep popping over to the sink so that I can rinse more Brussels sprouts because we're having 2 people over, so it'll be 4 of us. And Brussels sprouts, they shrink. They're kind of like spinach. They get smaller when you cook them, so it'll look like you have enough for a lot of people, and you really don't. So it's like always really important to make more in my experience. I just threw this in the garbage bag. So yeah, I always make a ton of Brussels sprouts. But so the first time I had Brussels sprouts, I really liked them, and then it became kind of a thing where I was like, I'm gonna learn how to cook them. And so now I make them for us pretty regularly, and I love them. They're really delicious. So today's been a busy day. I started putting out 4 videos a week, guys, so keep an eye out for that. And so it's just made my schedule a little bit different because now I'm not putting out 2 videos a week like I was, and then I'm not putting out 3 videos a week like I was. Now I'm putting out 4 videos, so I'm actually doing a lot of editing and a lot of filming, which I love. I actually love editing. I never thought I would say that. I never thought I would be somebody who liked the editing process, but I actually really like it. I really like learning how to use the programs. I really like cutting and making it look fun and interesting. It's actually a ton of fun. I also really like just the whole process, the creative process of putting together my videos and putting together the thumbnails. Whoever thinks about the thumbnails when you look at a YouTube video, but once you start learning about YouTube more, you realize that you have to make interesting thumbnails, and it's kind of a really fun process. And it's something I've really been enjoying. So that was something I was working on today because I had a video go up. It's unexpectedly been a really pretty week. Like, the weather kept saying it was going to be awful, and then it was only storming in the evenings, which is the best of all possible worlds because it cools off the daytime and it's more like in the 70s and 80s, and then the evenings are when it rains, so who cares? You can be in bed. Have you found that you've been cooking more or less during coronavirus? I'm really curious to hear because I feel like with us, it kind of like balanced out. There were weeks that we were doing more takeout because we wanted to support, our small businesses, and then there were weeks that I was cooking everything. And so it just kind of ended up balancing out. But it's an interesting thing because I feel like you would think that it would just be, obviously, you'd be doing more cooking. But there is this kind of pull because you're home all the time to do something a little bit different, and so you end up doing more takeout. What's your favorite cuisine to order out or to eat out? And then what's your favorite to cook? Because I feel like they're not the same. I feel like there are some cuisines that I love cooking at home, but then I would much rather get something else out to eat. So my husband loves sushi, so that's been a thing. And I never thought that I liked sushi until he was the one who got me into it. And now I like it a lot. I don't get anything, I'm not adventurous. I like my sushi pretty straightforward. I usually have a veggie one, or I will put a salmon roll. I keep it simple. He'll do a little bit more adventurous, although he can't be that adventurous because kosher rules. But at home, obviously I don't make sushi. I think I really like making Italian food, but also just straight American. I like making American food. So to put on these Brussels sprouts, I'm going to put on some garlic powder. Some onion powder. Some Italian seasoning. And some paprika. And I'm going to put these in the oven at 425, but for the sake of the audio for this video, I'm not gonna do it quite yet because it is so loud that it really just blasts out the sound and you can barely hear me. So we'll just do that a little bit later. So now that we've got that done, we're just gonna keep dinner pretty simple. I'm just gonna make some noodles and meatballs, and my husband likes rigatoni, so even though you're supposed to eat meatballs with spaghetti, we're doing rigatoni tonight. And so I'm just going to put on a pot of noodles. So you might be able to hear the pot filling with water. What we're gonna do is I'm actually going to just put that on my normal stovetop over there, and we're just gonna let the noodles do their thing because that's not interesting. But I will make the meatballs in front of you here with my induction cooktop, and then I can do it kind of with you guys. I figured the noodles I don't really have to do with you guys because that's pretty simple. So before we actually start cooking the meatballs, I am going to make them. So I have to put them together and assemble them and all of that fun stuff. So as you can see, I've got my meat defrosting in this water here. So this is my secret trick. I always will defrost my meat. Because a lot of the meat we buy in Nebraska is frozen, I have to defrost it, I have to thaw it. So the best way for us to do that is if we have to do it kind of spur of the moment, or even if it just hasn't defrosted all the way, I'll just put it in some water and let it start to thaw. And so it's about, I would say, 80% of the way thawed, but I might have to like massage out some of the frozen pieces. It's what happens when you're working with frozen meat. So I'm just going to unpackage these and then I'm just gonna put them in the bowl and start making some meatballs. So we do have some frozen chunks in here. It's definitely not ideal. They're not so frozen. I mean, I can probably like warm them up with my hands, but it's not great. The problem is that we don't have very many places in Nebraska that we can get not frozen meat. There are a few, so it's not to say that they don't exist, but it's just easier to make one grocery trip than it is to make 3 or 4 so we can get all the things that we need. And so I prefer to just get the frozen meat. Also, getting frozen meat is nice because it means that you don't have to worry about it kind of going bad or having to throw it in the freezer. It's already in the freezer. There's good and bad to it all, right? But I just grabbed my meat masher. I'm wondering if that will help me. And it feels like it will. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So as you guys may have seen in my Amazon favorites video, I talked about this guy here and how much I love it because it does such a good job of mashing up your meat. And I'm just gonna use it to help me kind of break up that meat that's a little bit frozen still. Also, update, there are still bunnies in the backyard. And I'm loving it. I'm so excited because they're still there and they're so cute. And I just, you know, I know that they can't come up to me. I know they're wild animals. I just wish that they could because, like I said, I believe I'm Snow White, or at least part of me believes I'm Snow White. Okay guys, so here's the deal. I decided just as I was mashing up this meat that I don't think it makes much sense for me to bring over the induction cooktop because that's not the interesting part. I'm just literally putting in the meatballs. So this is the plan. I'm putting the meatballs in the sauce to simmer and that will cook them. So that's my plan. I don't think I need to use the induction cooktop to show you guys that. I can just kind of put it on back there. So I'm not gonna worry too much about that. Next, I am going to put in 2 eggs, 3 eggs, we'll see. I'm winging this because I'm not too worried about the consistency of the meatballs. A lot of the flavor comes from the marinara sauce and I generally don't use recipes. So depends, sometimes I do, but not always. So today we're not gonna do it. So let's start off with 2. I need to get a measuring cup, give me a second. So I forgot to do this in my last cooking video, but generally when I'm cooking with eggs, I crack them into a clear container so I can check them for blood because blood makes it not kosher. So that one's good. Yep, all good there. And now we're just gonna mash these. The water's getting hot for the noodles, so I'm just gonna keep letting that boil. As they say, a washed pot never boils, and I'm not watching it, so it's fine because it's boiling. So we're just mashing this up together, and then we're gonna add breadcrumbs and a few spices is the plan. I've got about 3 pounds of meat here because I want there to be enough for everybody, and if we have leftovers, that's fine. So it's going to make the portions of what I put in here a little bit more, so that's why I'm deciding whether I want to put in another egg or not. I think I'm gonna stick with 2 for now, but let's put in the breadcrumbs and see. So who here has Disney Plus? Because Disney Plus is a lot of fun. As you guys know, I have been finding solace during quarantine by imagining that I can go to Disney World, and that includes watching Disney movies too. So one of the things that I watched recently, was The Princess and the Frog. And I hadn't seen it for a very, very long time. So I was kind of excited to see what it was about. I didn't really remember it. I remembered parts of it, but not all of it. You know, it's okay, it's cute, but my issue is I don't like that they spend most of the movie as frogs. I don't know why that bothers me, but I'm like, I just wanted to see Tiana and Prince Naveen being people. I understand the story, and I'm sure that for kids it's appealing that it's, you know, animals. But as an adult, I was like, I want to see them as people, hanging out, enjoying their lives. Oh, I think that the water is boiling, so I'm going to rinse my hands. So we're just gonna let those bad boys boil for about 9-12 12 minutes between there, sometime in there, and then we can get going. So this is going to need another egg, I have determined, because it is a little bit dry with the breadcrumbs. So we're gonna go in with another one. And we're just gonna keep mashing. But yeah, I think that with The Princess and the Frog, it's cute, but it's a little bit, like I said, disappointing. Because I wanted to see Tiana and Prince Naveen. I almost felt like I wanted to know them better before they turned into frogs. But it's a cute movie. And, you know, I will say I don't find that the songs are very memorable. So that's a little sad. Husband slowly approaches. Oh, the video's gonna die. So the camera died, but we're back. And my husband sneaked in a kiss before the camera died, which was very cute. But now I'm mashing up this meat. We're getting close with the noodles, but we're not quite there yet. And I'm just going to add some spices to this. We're gonna be using similar ones. I'm going to be using garlic powder, onion powder. Now I'm not gonna add salt just because I don't want the salt from the meatballs to be too much with the salt from the marinara, because I'm just using bottled marinara. We're not getting fancy here, come on. So we're just gonna stick with those two things, and then I'll throw in some Italian seasoning too. So I asked my husband what he thought, and he agreed that I should put some mayo in here just to give these meatballs a little bit more moisture. So I'm gonna throw that in too. I'm gonna go back in with these guys, but what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to check those noodles, see if they're done, and I'm actually gonna be using the same pot because I can just dump out the noodles in the water and then I have less dishes to do. And who doesn't want that? So while we let those boil, because they're not done yet, we can just chat, because my plan is, the reason I don't want to start mushing this together now is because it's really annoying to run back and forth to the sink constantly. And so I figure to wash my hands in between. So I figure I'll just mash this all together after I've filled the pot with the marinara sauce. Then I can just put these in and then cover it and let it simmer. So I'm just waiting until that happens. But I am curious to know, what is your favorite Disney movie? All of them. I know, crazy, but I'm saying not just the animated ones, but like live action ones too. Or we can make those two different categories, live action Disney movies and then the animated ones. But my live action favorite Disney movie that was on Disney Plus, Swiss Family Robinson. I know, guys, I'm wondering what you think, because Swiss Family Robinson is one of my absolute favorites. I absolutely love it. I've always wanted to live in that treehouse. So why am I not living in that treehouse right now? I just wish I was there right this second. It's so beautiful. In the movie, he surprises her. He like makes the roof so it opens up to the stars and they can look up at the stars at night. It's so romantic. So that's gonna be the dream house, guys, is just a treehouse, just a beautiful treehouse. But as far as animated ones, there's so many that I really love, but just recently I've really loved Tangled. I feel like Tangled does a really good job of getting us to know Flynn and Rapunzel really well. Okay, let's check on the noodles. So we finished the noodles. The noodles are in the sink draining, and now we've got the same pot, making sure we don't have to wash extra dishes, and we've got the bowl with the meat in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pop 2 different kinds of marinara sauce into this pot. I figure it's kind of interesting to mix them because you get all the different flavors from each. So I'm just gonna pour this in here. Brief break while my husband opens this for me. That pop was courtesy of Jacob. And now I'm going to put this mayo into these meatballs, and then we can start actually making them into meatballs. So then what we do is we put them on the stove and bring them to a boil, and then bring them to a simmer. And we let them sit for about 30-ish minutes. But you can always check them with a meat thermometer. That always makes things simple and easy. And then you don't have to worry to make sure that it's actually cooked and like cut into one. You can just test one with the meat thermometer. So now we're just gonna roll about 1,000,000 meatballs because we've got a bunch in here. I'm hoping that these stick together because with the mayo, they might be too moist, but we shall see. I would say right now, Tangled is my favorite because it's just really well done. It's really sweet. I think it's appropriate for kids, but it also has something for adults. I think that's the thing for me with Princess and the Frog is, in a weird way, it feels more appropriate for children, but then there are topics in there that I don't think that children would be that interested by. So that's maybe why I wasn't as much of a fan of that. So normally when I'm cooking dinner, I usually will either put on some music. If somebody is here with me, I'll put on some French cafe music or something, which is always fun. Or if I'm alone, I might watch a show or something while I get ready. So when I make one of these videos, obviously it's a little bit different. I'm not watching a show, I'm chatting with you guys. But what's your perfect way to cook dinner? Like what gets you really happy while you're cooking dinner? Do you wear an apron? Do you put on music? What are you cooking? What's your favorite meal to cook? I love to hear how other women like to hang out in the kitchen. So share with me in the comments how you guys do that. So guys, I went thrifting for the first time in a really long time. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really grow up thrifting, so I would usually shop in the major sale sections. But I didn't really go thrifting, and so I tried to go thrifting the other day. I got 4 items for $12. And I was like, is this real? And they were really nice. They're from like Ann Taylor Loft. And I think one of them was Banana Republic. And I was so excited that I was able to find stuff at the thrift store that was actually good quality and so inexpensive. So if you guys have tips for shopping at the thrift store, please let me know because I'm dying to go back. I feel like it is so much better to shop at the thrift store than it is to go to TJ Maxx or whatever if you can find stuff that works for you. And so if you guys have tips for it, let me know because I want to be better at thrifting. And it's so interesting how good you can get at it. Like I know there are some people who are really good at thrifting, and so I really want to be better at it because like I said, I didn't grow up with it really. So I would like to be better at it. But while I was there, I was shopping. Honestly, I was shopping to find shorts that were a little bit longer because the shorts that I own, I think they're okay. They're like pretty modest, but I worry that they're a little bit short. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can find some shorts that are a little bit longer and so I won't feel self-conscious. And that was my plan, was to find shorts that I felt more comfortable in. And so I went to the store and I was able to find some. I also found 2 skirts, which was awesome. And I found this adorable hanging wall cabinet. It is so beautiful. It's wooden with these little glass doors. And when I say it's like a hanging wall cabinet, it almost looks like a jewelry box. It's very small, but it is really pretty. And I think I got it for $10. And I can't believe if I got it anywhere else, it would be less than 30. So I was like, well, that's a great purchase. How often do you host people? Because I know that for me, my husband and I host so often. Like we love having people over. Obviously coronavirus has put a damper on that and it's made things a little bit harder. And lately things have been opening up more. So we've been, having a few friends over in small groups and all of that. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people aren't comfortable hosting. And I know that in the Orthodox Jewish community, you have people over every week because of Sabbath. So I'm just used to the concept of hosting people for dinner. Okay guys, so all of the meatballs are done. They're in the pot. I may need to add actually even a little bit more marinara just so that it really cooks all the way through because you want them to be covered while they're cooking. And I'm gonna bring it to a boil and then I'm gonna let it simmer. So because I'm having people over, I can't really show you guys the finished product as it comes out because I need to be able to serve it and everything. But what I will do is I will take a picture of the finished product so you guys can see it. So I'm gonna put this on the stove, I'm gonna start letting it cook, and that's gonna be pretty much it. I just need to pop that in the oven, put this on the stove, and then we're good. Okay guys, so that's everything. It's not very complicated. It probably took longer because I was sitting here chatting with you guys, but it is not a complicated meal to put together, and it's pretty delicious when it's all served. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please let me know in the comments below what your favorite meals are to cook, what you guys have been thinking about in the kitchen lately, all that fun stuff. Please let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and vlog if you haven't already. Head over to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Hit that notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Hit that like button. Please head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!